Maybe that light on them. Is that good, Connie, with the light? A little more light?
Hey, Blue Rockers, welcome to Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. How are you tonight? Live YouTube. It's always fun to live stream. So tonight, it's not a Bigfoot Friday. It's a Blue Rocker Baffler night. It is Blue Rock Bafflers. Myself and our guest will be Lori Williams tonight. You know her from the past, where we've done our Blue Rock Bafflers here on Blue Rock Talk, as well as we launched them on Coast to Coast. Now, before I talk a little bit more about that, I just want to welcome those of you that are new here. I know we've got a lot of cryptocurrency people that are new, and we appreciate that you're here, and not just for the crypto, but for the other really interesting conversations that go on. Once again, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. I'm Connie. And it's Earth's most interesting conversations. So that includes people, places, and things. And we have a very interesting night for you tonight. However, I want to remind you about the other nights that we have. We have Crypto Connie Tuesday, yes, cryptocurrency. And then coming soon, Wasted Wednesdays. That's going to be a serious look at the cannabis industry. Make sure I've got my sound. I'm hoping everybody is cool and can hear everything. Yep, we're good there. Then on Thursdays, it's basically that's our signature night. That's when it all started. So that's Earth's Most Interesting Conversations. It's also considered, besides Signature Thursday, it's Far Out Thursday. So we can talk about aliens and hybrids and remote viewing and a whole bunch of other different things too. Friday is normally Bigfoot Friday. However, it's also Bafflers, because it's not always every Friday or every night that you get these. I mean, that could happen, but without your support, it won't. So thank those of you that do support Blue Rock Talk, and I really appreciate that you support it in crypto. I love that. Then I know I get all of it, and then I can decide if I take it out when it's at $1.70 or, a quarter or whatever, right? And then we also have Stan's Bible Lecture. That's on Sunday. That's a new time at 2 p.m. Eastern. Otherwise, all the shows are at 10 p.m. Eastern, even though that might change in the future. I'm getting a lot of you saying that you would like things earlier, and so we might give that a shot. Also, live breaking news at any time, and lots of little goodies here and there. So just a reminder, too, of Stan's Bible Lecture. It ain't your daddy's Bible class, let me tell you. You can throw at him anything you want, and it's fun. It's really a college level lecture type of Sunday school class. So I think you'll like that. Those of you that want to debate any of that, that's fun. Please do. He encourages it. I encourage it. It's fun. Okay, so in fact, I encourage that on all the shows. You don't have to believe everybody's thoughts and beliefs yourself. Throw it at them, see what they say, and come back to you. It's all for us to learn, right? And it's I've made it safe for everybody to say whatever they want to say here. So now let's talk about bafflers. So what happened was, when I took remote viewing classes, and probably just like everybody else, You want to learn how to do it and be really good at basically just as without getting into all the craziness of it and how deep it can go, but just being able to look and see what's inside of a closed envelope and know what that is really cool. And once you start doing it, immediately you want to know what's on the other side of the moon and what's on Mars and what's on Pluto. It's just, I don't know anybody else that hasn't thought that way, but it's fun and you want to know. Well, that's called an esoteric target, and it's usually frowned upon at the beginning of remote viewing because, well, they want you to learn how to do it, get it down pat. Once you're really, really good, then from there, after figuring out how good you are with an actual database that they have to help you do that. Well, once you can figure that out, then you can do an esoteric target and have some credibility with it. Okay, so I was always hoping to be able to do something, a TV show or something where I could do these esoteric targets. And here is Lori Williams to do that with me. Yay! So what we did was we thought, let's launch it on Coast to Coast first. So that's what we did. I gave her 3 targets. She had the entire show that night, 4 hours. I gave her 3 targets. And she did all 3 of them. And we had a blast on Coast. And then we went on Blue Rock Talk here, and we did some follow-ups on it. And, life kind of kept happening for both of us. And now we have finally been able to do a Blue Rock Baffler. So here we are. The first one was Bigfoot. The second one was pineal gland. The third one was what lies under Mount Shasta. And now we have number 4. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to name them by the numbers. That way, she doesn't have any idea what it is yet, because I gave her the target, the Baffler, and she took it on. Her husband, Jim, then was her monitor. And we now have her session. And we are going to reveal what the Baffler is at the end. And I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. I think it's going to make some history. And I hope some of the people I was looking to be here might be here. And if that's the case, well, we'll just see what happens throughout the night. Maybe some surprises along the way. But without further ado, let's bring on the lady that is our Baffler. She will unbaffle our baffled minds. And that's Lori Williams. Hey, Lori, the blue rocker sign, right? You can do it, right? Yes, she can. One-handed. She didn't have to go, wait a minute. How are you?
Good. I didn't know if I was on yet, so I was just kind of standing here waiting to see what was going to happen.
Well, actually, you were on before we were on, yeah. That was so funny. I was, this is live, right? So when you do this on YouTube, you have to start all your little pieces, and then you look over on another computer to see if it's on, right? So when you guys are waiting around, Blue Rockers, for me to say hello, I'm still waiting for every piece to happen. And so I try to tell the guest, hey, don't say anything on the other side, you're on. And this is just the way it is, Lori. You're not the only one that does that. But y'all all probably heard Lori going, hey, is the light working here? What did you say? You said something like that. Did you know?
I was like, is this light? Have one more light on? Yeah, I didn't know if we were on yet.
Yeah, and then when you reheard it, your face was like, oh no.
I'm new to TV, folks.
It's okay. There's been much more embarrassing things said in the past, so you're okay. All right.
Don't make any embarrassing sounds.
Yeah. Don't make any embarrassing sounds that you don't want anybody to know about or be archived for life. You know what? There is one thing I didn't get to ask you, and I will need to ask you this, or it will just totally mess up the sound. Do you have little earbuds?
Oh, I do.
Okay.
Wait. Those aren't the right ones. Hold on.
Yeah. Find your earbuds, and then it will. It's kind of like a speakerphone, and if you don't have the earbuds in, it'll do that speakerphone thing where it cuts everybody off.
Yeah, here's one.
All right. So does everybody hear myself, and they also hear Lori talking? If you guys can let me know about that in the live chat, that will be fantastic. We want to go through her session, and we want to make sure.
Now, am I able
good
to see live chat or no?
Nope, you are not. We have a delay, so you will not. So any questions that come up, I will throw them your way, and we'll take those at the end. So Blue Rockers, keep that in mind. What we're going to do is we're going to go through Lori's session, and then afterwards, we'll do the reveal and everything. Then we'll take your questions if you have any, and depending on how things are going, who knows? Lori might need a martini or something. She's gone,
Let me see if I can get this plugged in. Hold on.
Okay, no problem. So I want to say hi to the people that are there. Hey there, my crow, all my Blue Rockers. Bug Puppy, hi there. That's a cool name. John Z Grabbit, yo. My blue, hey, Reverend Davy's here, loud and clear, Connie, he says. So Reverend Davy saying hello to us.
Oh, Reverend Davy. Hi, Reverend Davy.
And you Blue Rockers out there, if you can hit the like button, and throughout the session, I want to have Lori really discuss it in a way where I don't really have to interrupt her or anything unless there's something really crazy that I got to go, whoa, what was that all about, right? So if you guys can help me along the way when you see new people come in, if you can remind people to hit that like button, I would appreciate that. Please subscribe as well and bring your other friends in with all your other Facebook and other social media outlets out there, folks, because we want to help Blue Rock Talk grow. And if we can grow it big enough, I'll never have to charge you. If not, at one point I'm going to have to say, all right, you guys, you got to pay for the archive, just like everyone else out there does. But I'm trying not to do that. So help me out, okay? All right, so Lori she's got her earbuds on. Can you hear us?
I can. Sounds good.
Can you just center yourself a little bit more? Can you go over? There you go. Okay, now can you raise up your right hand? Now your other hand? Okay, now go down, pull off your shirt. No, I'm just kidding. She was going to do it. She didn't even say Simon Says or nothing. Okay, so we're going to have a good time here. So again, most of you guys already know what we're up to, so let's get on into it. But before we do that, now Lori is a professional remote viewer, and she's also a remote viewing instructor. So she's got it going on, and she's extremely busy. She was just on Coast with me the other night giving aftermath of the Bigfoot Baffler that we did, so that was really cool. But and she also lives in an Earth ship. That's so cool. I can't wait to go see that. You know what? I need to get, whenever you do a show like this with me here, I need to get a picture of your place so I can show it while we're talking. So we'll do that in the future. Wait a minute, she is. Oh, are you going in there to find one? Is that what you're going to do?
No, I'm just sitting here.
Okay, all right. Well, you look really good. So is there anything else you want to say about yourself or your classes or what's new with you? So
yes, we do actually have some new stuff. One is that if you go to my website at https://intuitivespecialists.com, you can get a free gift by signing up for my newsletter. And the free gift is a class, a PDF class. It comes to you over 3 days because it's so extensive. But it's called Secrets of the Ancients, and it's an awesome class. I think you'll love it. And, we just want you to be able to access all the free information that's on my website that's about remote viewing. If you're interested in remote viewing at all, it's a wonderful technique for organizing your thoughts and separating intuition from imagination. So that's the idea behind it. And you can use it for all sorts of things. We use it now for archaeology, for finding missing people, medical diagnosis. There's a ton of ways that it can be used nowadays. Corporations can use it for strategic planning. Entrepreneurs can use it to increase their bottom line. And there's just a lot of ways that controlled remote viewing can be used. And my favorite is personal development. It really is a wonderful self-discovery tool. So if you're interested, go to my website at intuitivespecialist.com and get a free gift there. You can also get a free gift by just texting. You can text the number 444-999 and type in the word know, K-N-O-W, like you want to know things through remote viewing. Type in the word K-N-O-W and you'll also get that same free gift if you do it that way.
Wait a minute. What do I got to do? Wait a minute. Okay. I've never understood the texting. Okay.
Yeah, so you go to the text and you type, the number you're texting is 444-999.
Oh, okay. Wait a minute. Okay. 444.
999.
Oop, it stopped on me. 999. Okay.
Yeah, and then in the part where you actually write the message, type in KNOW. And then just send it.
All right.
Then you're going to get a little response that says, thanks so much, put in your email address, your best email address, and you want to respond to that second one, because that second one comes in from a different number. It doesn't come in from 444999. So you want to answer the one that comes in on the new number and just respond with your email address, your best email address, and then it's going to give you a gift.
Okay, so my first one says, great, fill in the best email where you want me to send your free gift. So that's what I send back.
Yes.
Okay.
And you just type in your email there.
Hold on. I got
Just going to try it out.
That's right. I want to make sure this is real, you guys. Okay.
It's so funny because, technology, it seems like it's such a love-hate thing, isn't it? It's like there's cool stuff that it can do, and then when it works great, it's awesome. When it doesn't, you're like, Argh.
Oh, it's awful. Yeah. So always good to have a geek in the family.
Yeah, I just needed to say too that as far as this particular baffler, I had no clue what this is. I still don't have any clue what it is. But the funny thing is that I got so sleepy when I was doing it that there were points at which I had no idea what I was saying.
I'm looking forward to this. So let's go ahead and dig into it. So let's go ahead and go through the very beginning. Let's just go through the whole thing of what happened and
okay, so you want me to start? Okay.
Yeah, so let me pull it up before you get there, though.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've got a physical copy. I've got the actual session right here.
Right.
But I scanned it and sent it to Connie, so Connie has it too. And I guess you can actually show it on your screen.
Yeah, I'm going to be able to show it here. So let me make sure I get the first. Okay, because we got 6th of Baffler. Okay, that one. So it's already up. Make sure. I don't want to. Okay. Okay, that's 7. Oh, 1 through. What the Sam Hill? Oh, 1 through 17. Did you write that one? And starts at 7. Okay, so let me pull up the other one. Okay. Okay, and that's the 1 through. No, that's the big. Yeah, 1 through 6. Okay, 1 through 6. July.
Yeah, so you've got 2 different scans, 1 through 6, and then 7 through 23.
Okay, cool. All right.
This is 23 pages. I don't usually have really long sessions like that. 23 pages is kind of a lot.
Okay, so let me see what everybody ends up seeing here. All right, so we're going to go. So just put your head down just for a minute, just in case, okay, just in case, all right. I want to make sure we don't do anything funky here that messes it up. All right, so, okay, both of our faces will be seen, and I'll be able to move it. Okay, we are. Okay, don't move your head up yet. Hold on. Okay, you're good. Okay, you're good.
I was like, I'm going to take another nap. I had to take a nap after viewing this target, whatever it is.
So I just want everybody to know what's going on here. I need to move this over for her. I don't want y'all to see the other one yet. Okay.
Also, I just want to let people know that when anybody starts a remote viewing session, whether they be a brand new student or a very experienced remote viewer, I mean, basically, your target could be anything in all of time or space, right? So, in a way, it's kind of like you're fumbling around with a blindfold on, and you have no idea what you're looking for, what it's going to be, and you have a million ideas popping into your head. And the idea of the structure of controlled remote viewing is that you're actually kind of working through this forest of crazy ideas, and you're trying to extrapolate or take out of these ideas certain things you notice: colors, textures, temperatures, smells, sounds, tastes, things like that. You're trying to pull those out in the beginning. So Lynn Buchanan, who was my mentor, liked to joke, that it's there, a lot of times your first 10 pages are crap, garbage, whatever. And so a lot of times, I mean, it depends on the viewer. Some viewers get their best information in the first few pages, but most of us are kind of fumbling around in the dark, and the first 2 pages have a lot of kind of extraneous ideas that are not necessarily have anything to do with the target. And for me, it's kind of my way of getting warmed up until my wheel finally slips in the groove and I'm on track. And so this is no different.
Right, and that's what she's talking about here. That's why she gave you that, because the first 6 pages she feels like that, even though we know that she got it there. That she did get into the groove there at the end. So let's go ahead and go through that.
Okay.
And I'll let you run through it because you obviously do this all the time. You know what you're saying. You know how to teach. She's an incredible teacher, you guys. She taught me as well as Lynn Buchanan, and they're both incredible teachers. Let me tell you, incredible and fun. I know Lynn. Yeah, I just talked to him last night. He's putting together a whole bunch of classes, so that'll be nice to see his work again.
Yes.
But Lori is out there actively doing classes and just so fun.
Yes, and we're offering both in-person and online classes. So when I'm teaching a class now, if you're one of these people who just can't stand to learn online and you want to be there in the room while I'm teaching, you can still do that for a while until my course comes out. We've recorded the courses. We're going to be offering them probably in the next few months. We're going to have video courses available that you can watch on your own time, at your own leisure, with a brand new manual. But in the meantime, right now, for the next few months, you can still come and take an actual class in person with me. And or if you watch it from the comfort of your living room in your pajamas, so it's up to you. But we offer that versatility, which is nice, that you can get a live class and make it convenient.
It's so funny because, yeah, I know. I've been in my little jammies, relaxed, listening to you. Okay, here we go. So we're on page 1. So basically what happened is here's a baffler number 4. I have a picture that we will reveal afterwards, and this is I gave it to Lori, and she went off to the races. So we'll let her tell you as I scroll up with the pages what she's doing on these pages. Okay,
so on the first page, now normally when I do something like this, I never ever let my actual session be published, because people who haven't ever taken a class don't know what they're looking at, and they often misinterpret what they're seeing. They don't know what it means. And so it's kind of like one time when my mom actually asked me to do a session for her, and I had to explain to her, hey, Mom, everything I write on the side of the page is garbage. It's like the garbage can of the page, and I'm just kind of throwing that into the garbage can. So you need to ignore that part. And I'm telling you the same thing. You kind of ignore whatever's on the right side of the page. And so what I'm saying here is this part of the page, we ignore that. This is kind of my garbage can. Here's where I'm kind of setting aside all my thoughts and things. And this is then just nouns and different thoughts that are popping in. Or right here, actually, is where I'm kind of analyzing what I've done over here. And so this is the analytical part of the page that applies to the left brain. The left brain's where we have all our analytical thought, our logic and logical minds. And so as I get into page 2, then I'm actually kind of dealing with some of these extraneous thoughts that pop in right at the beginning of every session, where I'm thinking about Connie and how she gave me Bigfoot one time, and and then I'm thinking about Bigfoot, and I'm having to set aside all the stuff about Bigfoot, and I'm actually literally writing down Bigfoot type stuff, knowing that the target can't be Bigfoot and it's not going to be Bigfoot. But it's the bottom line is you don't want to edit what's coming into your mind by saying, well, I know it's not that, so I'm not going to write it down. You want to write everything down and just kind of work through the process. For me, it's a warming up process. Just like you get in your car on a cold winter morning and you let the engine run for a little while to warm things up. That's what I'm doing for my brain or my thought processes. And so I keep moving on in page 3.
So you'll know that they see your paper and you're a little bitty face at the bottom.
Okay, good to know.
Okay, so there you go, just so you'll know. Okay, so we're already on page 3?
Yeah, we're going on to page 3. We're kind of skipping through these first few pages because they're really insignificant.
Okay.
It's just kind of my warming up process, and it's just pretty much silly. And there's not a lot of important stuff here. And
but from someone who knows what the target is, it is still important.
You think so? You want me to cover what's on page 3?
Yeah, I want you to kind of see.
Okay.
Yes. So what you see, she's seeing a forest here. See her little drawing. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I was seeing some forest, and I was really seeing a lot of how when you're in a forest and it's kind of sunny outside, but the light from the sun is kind of dappled on the ground, and it's kind of cool and shady in the forest. And so that's what I was kind of seeing, just kind of a abundant leafiness and cool, dark, dappled, shadowy. And again, the minute I started this target, I was fighting sleepiness. This target really made me sleepy for some reason. And then I felt like whoever the target. Now we're going to call whatever this target is. I don't know. Do they know
Number
what the
4
target is?
baffler. Nope, nobody knows what it
Okay,
is.
so in this number 4 baffler, whatever the target is, we're going to call this the targeted
Number
bio.
4. What?
Number 4, right? But,
Okay.
but I'm saying within target number 4.
I'm sorry.
When I'm trying to when I'm trying to hone in on whatever it is that you want me to look at, I'm trying to hone in on it, and I'm calling it the targeted thing, whatever it is. Okay, so because I can't say move to baffler number 4 because that's the whole overall target.
True.
But I'm trying to move into a specific part of it.
True.
And I found that when I moved in on this targeted thing, I found that the targeted thing liked this forested area. It felt like home. But that at the same time, they seemed to be kind of longing for some other familiar surroundings that did not include the forest. That, in other words, there was a familiar surrounding that was not that, but that they were trying to go on. So then if we move on to page number 4, once again, we're going to ignore what's on the right side of the page, like all that cast off, destroyed stuff.
Well, I do think it's interesting. You have a P7 there. You've got cast off. I think that's interesting. Just saying.
Yeah, and then destroyed. And then I was thinking about the target that Lynn gave us the other night with the Nazca wells, the wells at the Nazca lines in Peru.
Oh.
Yeah, you didn't know about that.
That's
yeah,
right,
so
I missed it.
We had a mentoring club, and Lynn was our guest, and he had given everyone the Nazca wells. There's wells where the Nazca lines are in Peru. There's these ancient wells. They're so ancient they don't know how old they are. And they think there used to be hundreds of them, but there are currently like 42 of them that are still functioning because that's one of the driest places on Earth. It only gets an inch or less of rain per year. But yet somehow the ancient peoples knew that there was an underground river, and they built these wells right in the lines of this invisible underground river that's so deep.
That's interesting.
And they managed to make these wells all along the river lines, and they've built them in a spiral, so you can actually walk down this spiral all the way to the water. So they're kind of shaped in a V shape.
Yeah.
But from the top, it looked like big spirally circles.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh.
Yeah, so it was a fascinating target. So that came to mind, and I ended up writing that down and setting that aside. And then I was remembering that I needed to send an email, and then I wrote down that I was very sleepy. And then I resumed my session, and I moved to the purpose of the bio. Now, when I say that, I'm moving to the targeted, whatever Connie's targeting me with, which I have no idea what it is, but I wanted to move to the purpose of it. Like, what's the purpose of it? And the first thing that came to me was hunting and gathering, and then my monitor said, move to that which is hunting and gathering, and describe. And so I got short, squatty, fuzzy, dirty, fuzzy, thick, smelly, hazardous. And then I got not used to us as a P7. Now, P7, what that means, a P7 is a type of thought that comes in that you just have an urge to put quotations around because it's almost like it just popped in this random thought, and it's a phrase, and it can sometimes be the line of a poem, a well-known cliche, the lyrics to a song, words to a poem, or the title of something, but it just kind of popped in, not used to us, and then candid camera came in. I don't know what that is. And so
that's
I just
funny.
put those down. And then the monitor said, mentally speak with the bio. And I just said, well, I feel kind of disconnected from it. It feels like a big, dense blob of energy, and my brain feels very buzzy at this point. And I'm only on page 4. So things were not starting very well, to be honest. I mean, I was sleepy and buzzy and kind of like, oh, this isn't going so well. So we moved on to page 5. So I don't know if you're on page 5 with me. But
Yes, I am.
Okay. So again, I'm reminding myself that I'm looking at that which is hunting and gathering, and I got yellow, green, golden, bright, energetic, big, spreading out. And my monitor said, mentally touch the target. And I said, oh, it makes my hand tingle. Reminds me of a cloud. And then I made a SC note is where I'm just making a note of that's kind of outside of the structure of remote viewing or controlled remote viewing. And I'm saying it feels like a cloud of energy, like a cloud full of lightning. And then I had Stray Cat of Aliens and Grays because, I mean, after all, this is Connie. So,
I thought you were thinking earlier even it was going to be another Bigfoot or something. And somebody in the live chat said we should always send her a Bigfoot.
So I'm like, okay, aliens, grays. Then I took a water break and I resumed. And the first thing that came to me was the word fortune hunter. And I was just like, what? Fortune hunter? So then I said, okay, these are beings. They're non-human. They're looking for resources in the form of minerals and other needed items. And then I immediately had this flash of like mountaintops, just like a whole ton of snow-covered mountaintops. And I didn't know what that meant. So moving on to page 6.
So she went to Canada with that one.
Yeah, it looks like I don't know why I came up with Canadian mountaintops. I've never been to I've been to Canada, but not to the mountains. So this sounds so wild, but the bio seems to change shape. Difficult to pinpoint appearance. And which is funny because Jim and I and our visitors, we have some visitors from France staying with us right now, and we just saw a UFO the other day. And so, yeah, and it was interesting because it was changing shape. It was way up in the sky, and we were looking at it through binoculars, and it kept changing from a triangle to a sphere, And we watched it for like 30 minutes, and it did not move in the sky. It just stayed stationary.
Wow.
Yeah,
That was a good one.
Yeah, and so it was really interesting. And the interesting thing, too, is that this was the very first UFO that our visitors from France had ever seen. And so they were fascinated. They had the binoculars, and they were just, whoa, they were amazed.
Wow. Was there any missing time or anything?
No.
That you know of?
Not that we know of. But not that we know. So, anyway, so then I was asked to move to the SI column, which is part of the structure, and try to communicate, just pick up whatever I was picking up. And I got avoidance, moving away, shy, tremendously intelligent, kind, nonviolent, gifted, scientifically minded, and surprisingly spiritual. I was surprised anyway that I found that whatever I was communicating with seemed to be pretty spiritual. So at this point, I decided that I would take a break and send this to Connie, and just see, because if I was like way off, then she could, like, if she could find anything accurate in this, she could retask me with it and say, okay, well, you said blah blah blah, move to that and describe that. And that's the way we retask in remote viewing. In other words, she's not going to give me new information that I don't know. She's going to look through my session, find something that is accurate, and try to retask me with that. And so I kind of started over again on page 7. So we're going to skip past that because that's just the beginning. But one thing I want to mention on page 7, if you notice that kind of squiggly line there.
And just before you mention that, if I can just cut in just for a second. Yeah. I just want everybody to know, because I'm going to hear about something in the future. I just want everybody to know that there is a 30 or 60 second delay here. I don't know what it is, but the software that I use here, this third-party software, if you don't update it, and Skype's not updated at the same time, the other thing's not updated, where 3 systems are kind of connected together, it's a pain. And you're constantly relearning as you go. So I just want you to know what you guys just saw, Lori didn't see. Okay? Lori hasn't seen it. She doesn't know what the answer is. But just through flicking, I did reveal it, but she doesn't see it.
No,
fact,
she
only sees me on
Connie.
Skype. That's all she sees. Yeah.
Yeah, I see Connie, and I see a big orange block. Yeah, that's all I can see.
That's all she sees. She does not see what you all just saw, and I just want to say that for anybody in the future saying anything about it. So forgive me. It's just these me and Lori were talking, we're just not these computer whizzes or geeks out there. But she didn't see anything. It's a delay, and she only sees me looking at her. That's all. What you all see here of me, that's all she sees is that. Okay.
And I can't even see my session on screen. I can only, that's why I'm using the physical session. But there is a place on page 7, and I know I'm in a tiny box, so you might not be able to see. But I'm corresponding with, if you guys can see my session on screen, I'm corresponding with this mark right here. So that mark, when that mark had like an energy to it when I did that, and we call these ideograms. It's a way of communicating with the subconscious mind. And so that ideogram was like something man-made, or it felt unknown, but it felt almost like man-made, connected to a big space air. So it's almost like my subconscious mind was saying, this has to do with space air, and so I was like, okay. So then the monitor moved me to the unknown attached to the space air, And I came up with gray, smoky, cloudy, up high. I was really curious about it. It seemed metallic, shiny, high up, warm to the touch, bright, fast, floating. And I felt a little doubtful. I was kind of like, oh, wait, is this BS or is this real? And then, but I had a sense that other people who would be seeing it, if there were other people there looking at it, they would be like in awe of whatever this was. And then the purpose of it felt exploratory to me. And now I felt like I was kind of getting in the groove with this. I felt like it was kind of stormy, and I was hearing thunder sounds. It was rainy. There was a daytime ambiance to it. It's whatever I was looking at seemed really silver. I mean, small, really tiny. And then I kind of felt like I was just suddenly falling asleep, and I was trying to get myself back in.
Are you on number 10? Page 10?
I'm now just turned to page 8.
No wonder. I have 7 and 10.
Uh-oh, sorry.
You didn't give me 8 or 9.
It must have grabbed the first 3 pages together and scanned them all at once. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. No problem. Let's see. So we see 7, and then
I'll just have to read to you what 8 says.
Okay.
So then I took a quick break because I got so sleepy. So I took a quick break, and when I resumed, then I was, I kind of started tripping off on reptilians. I was thinking about gray, green, scaly, slimy, rough textured, bumpy, angular. And then I tried to sketch what I was seeing, but my sketch was so bad I crossed it out and just said, no, that doesn't feel right. My sketch just
cross out your sketches.
My sketch felt weird.
We missed the sketch. Oh, okay.
I'll put it right up there.
Oh, okay. You know what? That sketch is in here somewhere. Hold on. Let me pull it up here. So we need to find number 8. Okay, there's...
Oh, you saw the sketch?
Yeah, so there's...
So
okay.
You did get page 8 somewhere.
Yeah, it's just not in order. So, okay, here's page 8.
Oh, good. You filled it up.
Yeah, let's...
And then page 9 is the one with the sketch on it.
Oh, so you did, yeah. Reptilian, rough textured, bumpy, angular. It's in front of me. Claws and ugly feet. Okay, and there's the sketch. Well, that's an interesting looking sketch.
I know, but then when I did it, it just felt weird. I was like, I'm not sure this is right. So anyway, I felt like my skills in artistry were not good enough to convey what I was really perceiving, but it felt angular. Whatever I was looking at was angular, bumpy textured, small, vertical, upright. There was some red and green and gray associated with it. It was definitely a biped, unpleasant to look at. There was something sticky and slimy and gooey. And I was seeing something that was like stretchy, like gooey and stretchy, like bleh. Like I wouldn't want to necessarily put my hand in whatever that was, but it was very gooey and stretchy. And then moving on to page... Oh, wait, now I'm missing page 10. Or maybe I didn't even have a page 10. Maybe I accidentally went from page 9 to page 11.
Well, I'm going to go back to 10 for us. And 10
Do you have a 10?
Yeah, and it's P4, move to the unknown, attached to space air.
Huh, I guess I don't have 10. Oh, there it is. It just got put in the wrong place. Okay,
so we are so sorry, you guys.
Okay, and this is where I started really feeling like I was getting on, where it was gray, smoky, cloudy, up high. I'm curious. Metallic, shiny, high up, warm to the touch, bright, fast, floating, doubtful. This is where I was kind of doubtful, but I felt like anybody there would have been in awe of what they were seeing. I'm trying to pull this apart. Well, just a second so I can get it in order. Okay, well, there we go. Okay, sorry. I'm seeing if I can get back to page 10.
We're going to redo the whole show again one day.
Yeah.
It'll be fun.
Sorry. But isn't this great? This way they know we're not perfect, right? Okay, so anyway. So
now they know how flawed we really are.
Yeah. Okay, so the thing that I was really picking up on page 10 was that I was kind of in a stormy environment that was stormy and cloudy, lightning flashing and things like that. And then I was picking up that there was this little vehicle of some sort that seemed to be very small, silver, shiny. And so now are we moving on to page 11? Can we move on to page 11?
Okay.
Okay, and so...
let me find 11. 8.
It's
9.
weird that they come out of order when they scan them in order.
That's interesting. 9. Something's trying to mess us up. Here's 11.
Okay, got 11?
Yeah.
Okay. So it was hard, solid, dense, curved, oval-shaped, and fast-moving. And then I really started picking up on what the purpose was, that it was exploratory, visual, interdimensional, scientific, forward-thinking, advanced technology, defying the laws of gravity in motion. And it was very complex, yet simple. It's interesting because I felt like, in some ways, it felt like the technology would be complex, but at the same time, there was a simplicity to it that was surprising. Almost like a monastic feel to the interior of it, very simple, nothing real, like not tons of machinery and buttons and things like that. It was actually very simple. And then I realized it was simple because it was consciousness driven, like a propulsion drive that could be very compact and was actually driven through consciousness. And then Jim asked me to move to the propulsion drive and describe. And I said, well, it's green, it's bright, it's driven by light. And I perceived that it was beautiful, it was illuminating, and that light seems to propel it. That light is energy, and somehow they use light as an energy source. I don't know exactly how that works, but it's over my head, that's for sure. Then moving on to the propulsion drive, I realized that whatever this thing was that I was looking at that was oval-shaped, looked like it could move in any direction very easily. Could have up, down, sideways, diagonally. I found it very pretty, shiny, glowy, definitely oval-shaped, and it seemed kind of pearlescent. You know what I mean by pearlescent?
Yeah, is that a word? Because that's beautiful. I can get it immediately.
Yeah, there's a paint that they paint Cadillacs, and it's white, but it's kind of pearly looking, and they call it pearlescent.
Oh, I love that name.
Yeah. So,
I mean, it takes you right there. You know exactly what you mean, yeah.
Yeah. So then he asked me, move to the origin of the unknown connected to space air and describe. So now we're moving to the origin of whatever that unknown thing that I found was. It was gray, rocky, cratered, pockmarked. I'm on page 12. Dry, desolate. And then I was really not reacting well to this. I was like, this is dark and lonely and yucky. I didn't care for it. And moving on to page 13. Then I picked up that there was an area that was blue, clear, bright, daytime ambiance, and that it was moving very, very fast. It was huge and square. And then there was a warehouse feeling to it. So I felt like I moved from the outside, which was dark and desolate, to an indoor ambiance that was sort of warehousey, if you want to use that as a term. Very bright, artificial, expansive, overwhelming. I felt like I was overwhelmed by it. There were tans and browns in it. It was metallic. It kind of almost had like a factory ambiance, very huge. And so I was asked, move into that which you perceive as a warehouse ambiance and describe. I said, well, it's bright. It's artificially lit, cool, clinical. Now moving on to page 14. It seemed very aseptic or antiseptic. It was just sort of, like a hospital might be, but it didn't feel like a hospital. It felt like very much warehousey or factory-like. I felt like the purpose of it was very active, and it felt like the purpose might be construction, manufacturing, a lot of motion energy. I had a stray cat, which that's what we call when we have kind of a visual that's too identifying when our goal is to describe. But I was kind of seeing like people on forklifts, like driving around like they do in warehouses, But I didn't think, I'm not saying there were people on forklifts in this place. I'm just saying that there was activity going on with machinery, is what I'm trying to say there.
And this is where?
This was wherever at the origin. So in other words, I didn't feel like this was necessarily on Earth. I felt like this was the origin of whatever this unknown thing was that was connected to space air.
Excellent, okay.
So like if we were going to go back to wherever this pearlescent oval thing belongs, if it's on Earth and it doesn't belong here, it actually has an origin somewhere else.
Yep.
When I went to that place, I didn't like it. It was very desolate. But then I found that there was some kind of like a structure or building that was massively huge. And inside, I think, is where they were manufacturing these things and producing them. Does that make sense?
Producing?
Whatever this oval thing was my... Now, that's an assumption on my part. I could be wrong.
Okay.
But I'm assuming that these things had to be manufactured somewhere. And when he asked me to go to the origin of this,
Right.
whatever this thing was, that's where it took me, was
Gotcha.
to this building that seems kind of like a factory. So he said, move to that which is performing the activity, because I did see a lot of activity going on. So he's saying, move to that which is performing the activity. I got was gray, small, busy, tiny, male, non-human, multiple. So there were a lot of these multiple beings that were small and non-human, moving up and down, moving in and out. They were focused. There was a concentration involved, requiring skill and experience. And then it felt like there were pieces coming together. I didn't explain this very well, but I got the word drone as a P7, and I felt like there were pieces coming together, just sort of, that were putting this thing together, whatever this oval thing was. So whatever this craft was being assembled in this place, but it was being assembled when the final parts were coming together. It was almost like magnets were drawing them together. I'm just saying magnets right now. I don't know what was drawing them together, but there was a force that was bringing them, these pieces, and just making them click together. And I don't know what that was. So then moving to the origin of the targeted bio. So this is whatever that bio you assigned me to. I don't know what that was, but whatever that was that you assigned to me. Moving to that, I was moving to the origin, wherever this bio is from. We're going to call this being a bio. Wherever the bio is from, it's tan, green, shady, dark. There was a lot of intertwined things. I was seeing all these intertwined, interconnected things, and thinking about the movie Avatar with the beautiful tree that was, and all the trees were connected in their roots under the ground and communicating with each other. I felt like it was massive and tall and gorgeous, and that there were shades of pink and blue. It was bright. It was illuminated. It was luminous. It was above me. It made me feel very small because it was so big above me. And I felt like when I moved to this being and how this being felt about their place of origin, it was a sense of feeling honored, thankful, included, proud. And then continuing on to page 16, I felt like this being was sad to leave their place of origin, that they didn't really want to leave their place of origin and come to Earth. That their place of origin felt almost womb-shaped, warm, gooey, soft, pleasant. And then I was asked to move to the interconnected that I had mentioned, and I did this sketch that you probably have up already.
Yep, I got it. Yep.
And I found that it was glittering white like snow. You know how snow glistens and glitters when it first falls? Crystalline. This was like a crystalline structure that I was looking at. It seemed to be growing, like crystals can grow. You know how you could buy those little kits when you were a kid?
Oh, yeah.
And grow little crystals?
Yeah.
I felt like these crystals were growing, they were expanding out, and they were communicating with each other. I mean, the crystals were actually almost like a communication system in some way, and that they were actually alive. These crystals had a life. They were, there was life in them, and that they were producing life. Moving on to the interconnected on page 17, continuing with that, I found all this really fascinating. I thought it was really interesting. It was warm, bright, white, silver, glowing, intricate, complex, patterned with a crisscross pattern, and crystalline. And then I was asked to move to the producing life and describe. So for those who don't understand how this works, but what the monitor's job is to just never say a thing. We barely looked at each other. The monitor might have been observing me more than I realized, but I was very busy with the target, so I wasn't paying attention to the monitor. But the monitor's job is just to take things I say and move me to them. That way the monitor can't interject anything extra, which would then lead me to something. We don't want the monitor to be leading. We want the monitor simply to be a guide, to ask questions about something I've already mentioned. So he said, move to the producing life, because I had said it was producing life. And I came up with fast, dynamic, alone, complex, beyond our understanding, incomprehensible, fast. And then I got that, and when I moved to the purpose of it, I was able to produce a lot in a very short amount of time. That the reproduction that it was producing felt almost clinical, like mass production of life, but totally doable on wherever this was. Then moving on to page 18, trying to describe that which produces life, distant, alienated. And then suddenly I felt like I really shifted locations at this point. I should have written that down, but I suddenly felt like a shift of locations, that I was somewhere where everything was a deep, dark red. And I mean red. I don't mean orange like Mars. I mean a deep, dark red. And it was various shades of red. It was very profoundly red. I was really curious, and I felt a little bit scared. It was kind of like, what is this? It looked extremely vast. It was just as far as the eye could see in every direction. And then I made a note. I think I've moved to another location, but on the same plane or overall location. So in other words, it would be like if you go from the geography of Miami is very different from the geography of Siberia, for example, but you're still on Earth.
Right.
Well, I was still in the same place, but I had moved to a different location within that place. And now I was outdoors, and it was very, very red, and the sky was black. So the sky was black, but the ground was this very, very red, and it was very shades. It felt like layers of darker and lighter going into the darkness. Very dark above, and on the ground there were circular patterns stretching out in front of me, which I tried to sketch there at the bottom of page 18. And then page 19, it feels very foreign to me, like a landscape that is dynamic in color, but sort of barren and pockmarked. So then I thought, well, is that good enough? Should we stop here? And my monitor said, I think people might be really interested in one more thing. And I said, what's that? And he said, move to the relationship between this place and the targeted bio. So I said, well, life began here for this targeted being, very distant, multi-layered. The outdoor area was cool, dark, lonely, inhospitable for human life. I don't think humans could exist there. And then the indoor area was square, bright, huge, and vast, and used for manufacturing. And then moving to the relationship between the targeted bio and Earth. At first, I didn't feel like I was getting much when he asked me to do that. He was like, move to the relationship between the targeted bio and Earth. I was like, then I got, I feel like there's a clinical response from this being. Almost like for the being, it's not super exciting to be on Earth. It's just kind of like, this is my job and I got to do it. But, and at first he was just sort of like, it's just a job. I'm here to do some collection work. Whatever being I was looking at. Oh, excuse me, I got to sneeze. Excuse me.
God bless you.
Thank you. Sorry. Live TV. Now you just got to put up with whatever. Anyway, so he asked me if I would move to the collection and describe. And I said, I don't remember saying collection. Did I say collection? He said, yes, you did. And he showed me where I said it, because I had no recollection of saying the word collection as part of what their purpose was. And so I said, okay, well, it's small silver mineral composition, square. And then I wrote magnetite. And I said, is there such a word as magnetite? Does that word exist? And Jim said, yeah, that's a word. I was like, I have no idea what magnetite is. I never even heard that word in my life. But somehow that word came to me, magnetite, so I wrote it down. And then I wrote that it was a useful compound needed for propulsion manufacturing, has a purpose that's very important. It's extremely abundant on Earth. I don't know if any of this is true. It might all be BS for all I know. But relatively unknown to Earth inhabitants. It has features and qualities and abilities or capacity that are unknown to us, to Earthlings. We don't realize what it can do. But apparently they've discovered that it has it has some qualities or compounds that they find very useful. So now the next section is called a P4.5. And what a P4.5 is where you just kind of get so much information that you just write it down. You just write it as fast as you can. You don't worry about structure, but you're just kind of taking this big blast of information and trying to get it on paper. So basically what I'm understanding is that this mineral, magnetite, is really useful for advanced technology that we Earthlings have no idea of its value or its capacity or its usefulness, because our understanding of physics is still limited and rather elementary compared to these beings. We don't value it because we don't know. There are many compounds buried on Earth that have qualities unknown to man. Therefore, they're not useful to man, but are highly esteemed and valued by those who understand the qualities of each element which magnetite is only one. So then I took a break, and I actually I had to lie down. I was so tired I couldn't keep going, so I stopped there.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I laid down and I slept for 2 hours, just like zonked out.
Wow.
When I resumed, so I took a break at 2:15 and I resumed at 5:33 today. And so at the break, I put a note. At the break, I took a nap for 2 hours, and just as I was waking up, I saw in my mind's eye a beautiful 2-layer cake with fluffy white frosting and colorful sprinkles. And a portion of the cake was gone, and a hand was cutting me a slice. A voice said, "You don't have to see or understand the whole cake to enjoy the slice." And I feel like this was referring to this target. Like, we don't understand the mystery because it's huge, it's multifaceted, very complex. But we can learn about and enjoy the piece that we're experiencing right now. So we're just getting to see a slice of the whole picture, in other words. You know, what we're experiencing, even when I'm remote viewing here, is just this tiny slice of the whole picture, and we can't possibly understand the whole thing. But we can at least enjoy the slice that we get to see, you know, whether that's life or the target or whatever. So then when we resumed, Jim said, "Move to the relationship between the targeted bio and the human." And I said, "Deep, understanding, ancient, long-lasting, kind, extensive, expansive." I'm on page 22 now. And then a lot of information came through in the SI column. So for those of you who have never taken a course, don't know what I'm talking about, the SI column is kind of a magical place on your paper where, just by having your pen in that area, you can communicate with other beings. We can communicate with other consciousnesses. Even someone or someone you're trying to communicate with. So it's a place for kind of a mind meld. If I hate to use those terms, but in a way, it's kind of a mind meld technique there. So this is an understanding between us. So imagine now that this is being spoken by this being. That this being is speaking to us. Okay, you know what I mean, Connie?
Yeah,
so
the target.
The target is talking to
Baffler.
us.
Okay.
It says, this is an understanding between us. We have watched the evolution and development of the human species with great interest and some trepidation. We've seen it before. Humanity moves through cycles, burgeoning and falling back, blossoming and shriveling, growing to a point and then beginning again. We observe, we watch, we learn. It's not easy. We are seen as threatening, but we are not. We are observers. We are the watchers in the wings. We do not want to usurp. We simply garden, harvesting that which we need, but we do not take more than's needed. We are not greedy. Humanity needs us, and we want to help. And so at this point, now these are my notes. This is no longer this being talking, but I just said there is a sense that this civilization or species has observed humanity through eons and has seen the rise and fall, the prosperity and disasters of both the planet itself and humankind. Now, I don't sense malevolence or extreme benevolence either, but more of a curiosity and an educational interest, kind of a clinical interest. There's not a lot of interference. The greatest interest is using Earth like a garden almost to produce needed materials, mostly minerals, to keep it producing. So it's kind of like if we do forestry properly and we cut down trees, we replace those trees by planting new trees because we don't want to run out of trees. So, that's the idea in sustainable agriculture, for example. Well, I got the sense that they also understand that, and whatever they're doing, they make a way for it to replenish so that it doesn't run out. I don't know how that works, but they kept referring to Earth as a garden. And so, then I felt like there was a kind of a message that said there is no interest in destruction. The interest is in preservation. If humans were to destroy the planet, for example, that would not be helpful and would not be in the best interest of our species. And that's where we ended it.
And that was all from you. That's what you got. Okay.
Yeah, that's the end. So it wouldn't be the interest of their species for us to destroy ourselves. So That's it, folks. Now comes the big reveal, and I get to find out if I totally humiliated myself.
Wow. I mean, well, I'm in shock and all on a few things, just myself. Just if I can give a couple thoughts before I show it, where some of you might have seen it if you saw my mistake earlier, but it's amazing because, you have one picture and then you ask so many other questions of not just what is this and what is its purpose and what is the origin. And in doing that, all these other questions come out of it because it leads to something else. And then you can ask another question. It keeps leading. So it's basically like great conversation. And some of the things that you said from it have it can kind of bring to light a lot of the things that, let me bring us up right now, both of us, right now. You don't know what it is yet, so I know it's like, but it's just, I gotta step back for a second just because it makes sense to, I guess I can't say anything without you seeing the picture, so let me bring up the picture. Because, wow, it's just hit me pretty much there. That was very good, Lori. Always, 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 always. So I don't know what the answers are, but I'll show you what the feedback is. Okay, I'll show you what the Baffler is.
Where will it pop up?
I am going to put it, I'm going to show everyone else it, and while they're looking at it, I'm going to send it to you so that they can look at something besides our little mugs here. Let's see, let me put it back up here. Trying to figure out the best way to do it. Let me figure out the best way to do it. Let me tell you something first. Okay, so there's this guy that I'm going to have on Coast to Coast here at one point, and Blue Rock Talk. And before I have him on, I'm going to have on William Gazetke, who is a filmmaker who was on right after you the other night on Coast, but his sound didn't work. I don't know if you listened after you got off the air. But he was on right after you, and the audio was bad, so I pulled in Jerry Wills, another guest. And I'll have William Gazetke on in the future. And William's a documentarian, very good, and he's done stuff on crop circles. Now, there's a lady that really studied this one guy I'm about to tell you about, Nancy Talbot, and she did a lot of extensive research with this guy. And she just recently suffered a stroke, and just a wonderful lady too, but so much research out there already. She's still with us, but basically William is moving on with a documentary and has been doing a lot of his documentary work with this guy. This guy's name is Robbert Van Den Broeke. He is out of the Netherlands.
I would have never guessed that.
Yeah. Right. Well, and it's not the guy, but this is what the guy has all his life had unusual abilities, and one of them was he was very consistent in predicting the appearance and the location of crop circles. He could tell you when it was going to happen. He could tell you what it was going to look like. He could tell you where it was, and you would go, and it had just happened. And there were times that it would just happen right there in front of them. And he's been able to take cameras and take pictures, and you'll see pictures of ETs, you'll see pictures of UFOs, you'll see pictures of people that have deceased, even loved ones of your own. And he's just been this way ever since he was a child. And he's older now. I don't know how old he is. I don't think he might be in his 40s. I don't know if he's there yet or not. But he's got many, many different sightings, occasions, events. I mean, tons. At one point when his parents were taking him to a psychiatrist, because of all this stuff that was going on that he knew, like they would give him pills to try to stop it or, relax him or something. And they would put the pills in the cupboard, and then they'd go off to bed, and in between, going off to bed and not even the next morning, they would hear a ruckus, and they'd go down, and something had burned the pills. The pills only were like into dust, and nothing else was touched. Things like this happened. He's very spiritual himself, and very godly, and talks about angels and talks about ETs and all sorts of neat things. But he had one in particular incident that he calls the octopus-like aliens. And in this incident, there were now I'm just giving you a brief piece of it. And we will talk to him in the future, and we'll also talk to William Gazetke in the future too. I was hoping to see if William maybe showed up and I could bring him in here. But William, or Robbert Van Den Broeke, on this particular night of the picture that I have for you, 2 light balls had came down spinning. And, he does talk about these brilliant lights and some of the things that you talk about. And 2 creatures appeared with white and gray big heads and big black eyes with tentacles on the body. And at one point, there were spinning light and plasma-like spinning around these creatures, and these tentacles flew off. And when everything ended, and he tells, I will supply in the description below the link of where Robbert actually talks about it. After they flew off, these tentacles were left behind. And that's what I gave you a target for.
Yeah.
He believes that was a gift to prove the existence of extraterrestrial life. So he's got. So I'm going to show you the picture of the tentacles, and then fresh, and then I'll show you a couple pictures where he's holding them frozen, and I know he has sent off. Somebody has got a slice of it, and getting some sort of an analysis on it. I believe they've gotten something back, but I haven't been into all of that. This was enough. So let me show you that, and I'll show everybody else it too. So here's the pictures of the tentacles. I'm also going to send this to Lori. I hope nothing goes away here by doing this. But those are the tentacles that he says that came off the aliens. Now let me find Lori back here again. Let me find you over here, Lori woman. I'm getting you. Hold on. Make sure I don't lose this. Let me just pull this out of the way. Got a bunch of windows up. Okay, here you are. Here you are. Okay. So let me pull you up. Okay, picture, here we go. Come on, Skype.
Skype is not my favorite program.
I know, right? Let's see, let me get the recent.
I don't have anything yet.
No, I haven't sent it yet.
Okay.
I gotta find it. There we go. I'm gonna see if I can send more than one, so you'll have them. Nope, it's only gonna let me send one. But that's the main one. What you see there, you should have it now.
Looks just like octopus tentacles.
Exactly. That's it. That's it. And I'll send you a couple other pictures here of him, just real quick. It'll be just a frozen piece.
So who did he send the frozen piece off to?
Somebody else who I'm not familiar with took a slice of it. They cut it and they took a slice of it and took it to somebody, I think in the UK. I'm not sure. I don't know enough of that to talk about it. I knew that, at this point when we were going to do it, I believed that we were going to have a conversation with William Gazetke already on Coast, and he was going to be on Blue Rock, and then, going to be talking to Robbert next, and it would have been a really nice setup for everything. And then, the audio problem happened, but I would have had a lot more information at that point, and was hoping to maybe have even a cameo with not Robbert on this one, but we can definitely do that in the future where he can talk more about this with all three of us here. I think that would be interesting. I wanted you to see that, and hear the story. And again, I'll put the link, Blue Rockers, down below of the link where he talks about it on a YouTube video. It's just amazing that you're talking about the lights, you're bringing up yuck, gooey. You're kind of describing what environment something like that might live in.
It seemed really, really different, than Earth.
Yeah.
I couldn't, humans could never live there, for sure.
Right. And he described it as, he kind of described, like, he said grayish, whitish, big heads, black eyes, and then he said these tentacles were off of the body. And then at one point, all these bright lights and all this spinning around and all this stuff, and then boom, those were left behind. And he had asked what that was about. And again, I'm not quoting him on anything. That's very vague what I'm giving you of the information. But he had said that he had believed that they were left behind to have some proof. And he's a very spiritual guy. He sees this as very spiritual himself. He sees this as beautiful. And you were reflecting on a lot of those things.
Interesting. So I think it's important for everybody that's listening to understand that, of course, when it comes to esoteric targets, they can be fun, they can be fascinating, but there's no proof whatsoever. It could all be BS. We don't know. We really don't know. So while it's interesting, this stuff is very interesting. I just, it'd be interesting to show Robbert the session and
Absolutely.
See if Robbert gets anything that makes any sense to him.
Absolutely. And that's what I'd like to do. It's hard to do it all at once. You got to do part 1, a part 2, a part 3, just like we did with the other stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it takes time to do that. But I'm still in shock and awe because this guy always has things happening around him. A lot. And in his backyard, these things would happen. So I'm wondering if it has to do with the magnetite that you were talking about. And maybe there's a lot of action there because there's a lot of magnetite there in the ground.
That would be interesting. And I haven't even had a chance because poor Connie, she asked me to do this weeks ago. And things have been so busy that if she hadn't written to me on Wednesday and said, we're still on for Friday, I probably would have forgotten to do the session. I mean, it was so crazy. And I went, oh my gosh, I've got to do the session. So literally, we pretty much dedicated yesterday and today just to getting ready for this show tonight and doing the session. But it's really, these kinds of things are so esoteric that, to be honest, normally in my normal daily day-to-day life, I avoid this type of target simply because when it comes to building credibility as an instructor and as a remote viewer, your credibility is built from provable targets, not from the non-provable ones. The non-provable ones are interesting, but they're not the ones that really build your reputation. So, for example, a student that recently signed up for my class signed up for it because he was a professional therapist, had a target that he wanted me to work, and it was a paid project, and I did that target for him. And it was so accurate that he was like, okay, I've got to take these classes. If this technique can provide this level of accuracy on something that she was totally blind to, then I need to take this course. And that kind of thing, for me, is extremely gratifying because then this is a provable thing, So on something like this, it's just kind of fun. It's kind of like fun. The icing. It's the icing on the cake, really. Yeah. It's just, it's something it's sweet and it's yummy and it's caloric and it's pretty much useful as far as its value nutritionally, but it's so yummy we want to eat it.
Oh yeah, and you know what? You never know. We may get answers on this. I mean, when Ingo Swann first did what in order to get more money, right? He said what was going to be whatever one of the cameras was going to pick up in the future.
On Jupiter?
Yeah, right? And the rings and everything?
There was no proof at the time.
Yeah.
But then it was the rings of Jupiter. He said that he visited Jupiter through remote viewing and found that it was surrounded by rings. And at that time, there was no proof. And it wasn't until much, much later with one of these high-powered satellites that they actually did discover that Jupiter had rings. Excuse me. So that's
so we could get feedback. You never know. But what was cool about this is we actually have something. The tentacles. It wasn't just like, oh, there's a picture or there was a sound. I'm going to give Lori that there's this weird sound over in a barn. Out in the middle of nowhere. This was actual pictures of something, a story behind it from a guy that has so many story after story after story after story ever since he was a child. And he is a guy that, you know, he's been very much protected by a lot of people along the way, too, of kind of keeping everybody else away from him. However, they've also been trying to tell people along the way, too, hey, this is what's going on. He's incredible. And anybody I know that's met him, they're all saying he's the real deal. He's the real, you know, he's the real McCoy, kind, gentle, nice, just... And one of the things I'm hitting on Coast to Coast with the filmmaker, William Gazetke, is the fact that, you know, when you're a filmmaker and you're going out into the things, like he had done a crop circle film before, and that's, I guess, how he got involved in all this. But when, and you know this, if you're going to go ghost hunting or you're going to do something, well, if you got some real documentarian, you know, a big giant Hollywood filmmaker going out, there's nothing that's ever going to happen. It's never going to happen when the cameras are on, right? Right?
Yeah, Murphy's Law.
That's right. But William, and well, with this guy Robbert, things happen when the camera's on.
That's amazing. Yeah. One thing that it's kind of interesting. It's sort of, I've had a lot of things happen my whole life too. I asked Jim the other day, I was like, so have you had these strange things going on your whole life? He said, no, not until I married you. You know, so it's like, okay. So,
and he stuck with you.
He does, he stuck with me.
Never a dull moment.
Yeah, we were talking about some of this. It's interesting how you might think, oh, that's a picture of tentacles, and the target, you know, this actual remote viewing session is talking about, you know, other planets and UFOs and all these other things. But that's the thing, that's the way it works, is that, you know, we're looking at a physical specimen, but it branches out into, you know, where did this come from? Where did the beings who were connected to this come from? Why are they here? You know, what do they travel in? I mean, that session actually provided all that information. Now, you know, will we get proof that that's true? We may not ever get proof that it's true, because that's the way esoteric targets can be. Although I've actually gotten feedback on some esoteric issues, solid feedback 11 years later down the line on some things, you know. So sometimes it comes in much, much later. But but they're one of the most fun targets I ever worked really was just a photograph of a track in the dirt. I mean, it was like, and it just led to amazing information that then I've since tasked like 5 other viewers, and everybody's gotten the same information. You know, and it's very otherworldly, you know. So
Ooh, that's all spooky. Well, with this, you know, it's amazing because you never would think. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe the other world is, well, you said dark and murky, and maybe it's even in water, or maybe it's through mud, or whatever it is. But you know, you don't think of these things. And he had said they're all over the body, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're all over the place, and there they are for him to have as evidence. I mean, if I were going to fake something, I don't think I'd bring you octopus-like tentacles, because that would be like, there's no way that would be, anybody would even think of that as an ET. We're going to think of a little gray, right, or reptilian or something like that. You know, that's really where our minds usually go when people fake things. I think, I don't know, but I know that I wouldn't go with tentacles like that. And let me look into the live chat room here for a second, because some of the people that know this story or know Robbert are in there right now, and they know the story pretty well. So Deborah Jane East is in there now, and she's saying that there was magnetite around the crop circles on the ground. She believes there's always this white dust that's been left behind with a lot of these crop circles. I mean, they have jars of it, and whenever there's some sort of event, not every time, I don't know, I don't want to be right on with it, but there's always this white stuff, and they've collected it in the jars. I wonder if that's the magnetite.
Can somebody Google magnetite? Can we Google magnetite? Because I literally have never heard of it. It just is a word that came in while I was viewing, and I've never heard of magnetite.
Well, Mike Crow says living organisms can produce magnetite. And this is what Wiki says, because he got it from Wiki. I said, you left that Wiki on there, Mike. Reverend Davey says, sounds like lines from almost exactly like Keepers of the Garden. Dolores Cannon. Oh, I loved her. She was great. I loved her. She was so right. She said the only thing that is real is love. She's so right. Love.
Okay, so I'm looking up here. It says magnetite is a rock mineral and one of the main iron ores with the chemical formula Fe3O4. It's one of the oxides of iron and is ferromagnetic. It's attracted to a magnet and can be magnetized to become a permanent magnet itself. It's the most magnetic of all naturally occurring minerals on Earth. Naturally magnetized pieces of magnetite called lodestone will attract small pieces of iron, which is how ancient peoples first discovered the property of magnetism. And today it's mined as iron ore, which is really interesting because I felt like in that factory, the pieces were being pulled together through magnetism.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they need it for.
And maybe that's important because I know that I've been taught along the way somewhere, I don't know who told me this, but it makes sense that UFOs, the spacecrafts, how they can go bzz, 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 because it's all magnetic. They're using the magnetic field.
Mm-hmm.
So that's interesting. Where in the past I've always thought maybe they're here for gold. They're here for gold. No, looks like there's something, they may be here for something much more common, just to be able to travel.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
It says that small grains of magnetite occur in almost all igneous and metamorphic rocks. Magnetite is black or brownish black with a metallic luster and has a Mohs hardness of 5 to 6 and leaves a black streak. It has a lot of properties. It occurs in sedimentary rocks, igneous rocks, banded iron formations, lake and marine sediments. I did keep getting water. I don't know if you looked through the thing in the ideogram sections. Water came through quite a bit. I never moved to the water or looked at the water though. But magnetite.
That's where they lived, or
maybe so. I mean, they have
with that kind of arm.
It's called magnetic fossils. Magnetite nanoparticles are also thought to form in soils where they probably oxidize rapidly to maghemite.
Wow, that's something, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you know what? I mean, we've always known that those types of tentacles, I think, as far as I remember, when they come off, they grow back. Isn't that right with octopus?
Yeah, octopuses regrow their tentacles. Yeah.
So it's kind of almost like, here's your gift. Don't worry, they'll grow back on me. So Mike Crow has said that it resides in human brains. For instance, some entities have 3 brains. What, Mike? What are you talking about? What? Deborah has said. Okay, we had mentioned that before. Lori, okay, Deborah, who knows the story out there, she said a couple things. She said it was interesting that Lori was drawing crop circles in her notes. Right? I noticed that too. I was like, oh, look, she's drawing a little crop circle down there. And you had said something like, I tried to draw, and I'm thinking, and you said something about, I tried to draw the circles. And I thought it was kind of funny. I thought, Lori's trying to draw a circle. But it was a crop circle. And then she also mentioned, too, Deborah did, that you did very, very well on this. She's very impressed. She's quite impressed. Because she knows the story behind it. And this guy is really incredible. I think more and more people, I feel kind of bad because I think more and more people are going to be awakened to him. And, here, of course, I want to put him on Coast and everything. But I certainly want him to tell his story in the right way, in his way. Because he's a very gentle, nice, kind person. Lori, you're going to fall in love with this guy.
It'd be interesting to meet him. I haven't seen the link. If you could send me the link to the YouTube video, I'd love to listen to him talk.
Jim's got it.
Oh, Jim's got it? Okay, good.
Yeah. That's how Jim could ask such great questions. He was leading you around. He knew of him. And Deborah also says Robbert will be pleased to know this. So he did know through my connections that are talking to him that we were going to do this tonight. So I didn't get anything back of knowing what he thought or anything, but I know in his video himself, he's like, please. I mean, this was he was pleading in this video in 2015. Okay, so it's 3 years back. And saying, hey, here's the proof. He had it frozen, showing the frozen pictures that I sent you. And I think I just sent you one. But, he was saying, hey, please, someone help me. People don't believe me. This stuff's been going on all his life. And anyway, I think it's incredible. I do believe this guy. I don't think he's somebody making up stuff. And they've had so much research around him, especially Nancy Talbot. She's done unbelievable work with him. And I think you're really going to find this more and more fascinating, Lori. And I think you're going to probably get deeper into this.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd be really interested to hear what he thinks of the session.
Yeah.
If he can read.
Deborah says, if this is what the sample was that they found, it had a purity not seen here on Earth. They had it analyzed by the scientific community. Did you get any results yet, Deborah? I think I saw something where the result was, I think this guy's name was Johnny Webb, and I think they said that it was part octopus and something else. And I don't think he said to them, oh, here's this ET that came down, and I don't think he did anything like that. So I'm going to wait to see if they write. We have a delay, so let me see if they write. Deborah wrote again, it fell down after the crop circles. Okay. Mike Crow says, octopi have 3 brains. Oh, I didn't know that the octopuses
Octopuses.
How do you say
octopi.
that? It's octopi. I want to be careful there. Somebody will edit that out forever.
What's interesting is I kept seeing pictures of hematite in my mind, and this says that when you mix magnetite with oxygen, it turns into hematite.
What's hematite?
But hematite is that pretty stuff that looks like gold. It looks like clusters of crystals that are gold. They're real shiny. You can buy them in rock shops,
Oh, okay. It's not the fool's gold.
Yeah, fool's gold.
It is fool's gold? What's the other name for that? Okay.
Hematite.
So you saw.
Yeah, in my mind's eye when I was doing the session, I kept seeing pictures of hematite, but I got the word magnetite. And so I'm wondering.
Oh, that was the word you got. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm wondering what I'm wondering what properties magnetite has that we don't know about. Because when I was attending the recent Society of Scientific Exploration conference combined with the International Remote Viewing Association conference, they talked about how certain things that had properties that they would find, like at a crash site, a UFO crash site, like Roswell, for example. They actually collected these pieces of metal from these ships, and they had them analyzed, and they were made of pretty normal materials that could be found on Earth for the most part. But it was the way they were put together that could not be done here on Earth. And then they found that some of these things that didn't even have any ability to generate electricity or anything like that, when certain forces were applied to it, could be amazing superconductors. That by themselves they didn't conduct anything. But when you combine them in a certain way and then applied certain forces to them, they became superconductors.
That's right. Wow. It's like how they talk about the crystal skulls being made out in space. They couldn't be made any other way or something is what I remember when I was looking into that. Writing back again. Wow. Lori, thank you for the insight. The university that did the slicing did not have the capabilities to do extensive research. And it was funny that at the end of your session, when you said it was like cake and we just have a slice of the cake, I'm going, well, there is a slice of it out there. But I'm also thinking, yeah, the slice is these tentacles. We got a slice of the whole picture, right? So that was very interesting when you brought that up. I thought that was very telling. And Deborah also says it needs to go to someone with better forensic tools and greater credentials to research it, which the thing is, you don't want to tell them what it is ahead of time. They either won't do it or, then they'll be biased. You certainly don't want that.
Well, if you had the money, you could just take it to the right people and say, "Hey, test this for me." And here, how much you charge to test it thoroughly, and tell me tell me the DNA and the species of it.
And in the video, Robbert says, "I've got the money. Somebody help me." So, if you know of where to go with that, and maybe it's already gotten further. I don't know where it's at on that, Deborah. I don't know. I don't know if.
What I would do is I would contact Hal Puthoff and the Academy, the Two Stars Academy. Hal Puthoff is one of the most renowned physicists, in the world. He's also been, he's the one who got the Pentagon to hire Bigelow, Bigelow Aerospace, to start investigating UFOs with an attempt to try to cause a big disclosure, I think. That was part of his purpose anyway. And then he created To the Stars Academy to have it be a privately funded thing so they could explore UFOs and that sort of thing without having anything pulled out from under them, which the government is apt to do when stuff gets a little hairy.
When was that? When that happened?
That was just when what happened?
With Bigelow, getting Bigelow on and everything.
Oh, that was several years back, and when we went to the SSE conference just like 6 weeks ago, we were one of the small group of like 100 people that were allowed to go tour this top secret facility.
Oh, okay, good.
It's very, very exciting.
Okay.
But and we got to meet Mr. Bigelow, and
Robbert.
Pretty interesting.
Well, the thing about him is I just got real quiet real quick, so I didn't know if once they got that started that they just shut up, because I haven't heard much from him at all.
Yeah, well, right around the time that there was that horrible shooting in Las Vegas from that big hotel. Yeah. That was right around the time. It was interesting because they had this huge expose on all the news channels saying, saying, oh my gosh, the Pentagon's been investigating UFOs, and they've been paying Bigelow Aerospace to do all this research on UFOs, and Hal Puthoff was, and right at the time they announced that, and it was like everybody was going, oh my gosh, right then was when that thing happened with the thing in Las Vegas, and of course everything shifted. Sure. All the attention shifted at that point. Sure. Wow. I'm not saying it was planned or that it was that way on purpose, but it was just a coincidental thing, perhaps. But it seems like anytime anything turns to UFOs, something else happens that kind of distracts the attention.
That's right. Wow. Yeah, and he's right outside of Vegas there, so that's why that was crucial. That she was talking about that story, Blue Rockers out there. If you're out there, this is Blue Rock Talk with Connie Willis. We are doing Blue Rock Bafflers. And tonight, Baffler number 4, Lori Williams here. She showed us her session. You can see that picture right there of the tentacles. That is what was found in a field that Robbert Van Den Broeke found. The guy that has been known to have unusual abilities for, ever since he was a child. And one of them is consistently always seeing the appearance or knowing when a crop circle is going to happen, when and where, what it's going to look like, all that kind of stuff, and other abilities as well. So going back over here, these remote viewers are incredible. John Z. Gravitt, absolutely. Deborah says again, let's see, I'm thinking of properties to help in the formation of the crop circle rather than exhaust from the craft. She's thinking that it could be, it has properties to help in the formation of the crop circle rather than exhaust from the craft. I don't know anymore, because I thought so too. I was thinking, that must be something, in part of the crop circle where they found that white stuff. However, in looking back at some of the other information that he has, there were times where there wasn't a crop circle, but that stuff was left. So it could actually be from the ships or, the craft or whatever. But it also could be them going, hey, you all here, check this out. Here's some more evidence. Go, humans, earthlings, figure it out. Go do something. Don't just sit it in a jar and ignore it, Could be. And the sample is in the Netherlands, and proper transfer to avoid the disintegration would be important.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when you mentioned Canadian, you had all those mountains. That was the Netherlands. Isn't that something?
The Netherlands, yeah.
So, and when you were feeling all buzzy-headed, I think that's maybe, if we talk to Robbert, I think he may have been feeling that too. And, interdimensional, that's pretty awesome as well. So we've got a lot to look into, and I think that what's going to be happening to you, I think, Lori, is it's going to sink in and soak in, and I think you're going to go look up more things, and I think you're going to come to even more of an awakening. You did that same thing with the Bigfoot. Later on, you went, wow.
Yeah, I had no interest in Bigfoot until you gave me that target, and then it ended up being such an that was a very profound experience, just doing the viewing. I felt like I really connected with another consciousness that was pretty profound. I just wish that he would stop taking all my Apple electronics because they're very expensive to replace.
Well, did you get, I texted you, there's a girl that, your friend had the toys.
Yes.
So a friend of mine said that those toys were her kids.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. And that she knows the guy in Nashville.
And it's actually Knoxville.
Or I'm sorry, Tennessee.
Yeah, Knoxville. Tennessee, yeah.
Tennessee. Sorry, Tennessee.
That's okay. Yeah,
so that's pretty interesting. But did you feel a profoundness in this, or where did it kind of take you?
No, it didn't really. This one, it just caused such exhaustion that I literally, at the end, when I finished, I told Jim, I don't remember anything I said. How am I going to go on Blue Rock Talk and talk about it when I have no recollection? But thankfully, because you let me go through the session, then I was kind of trying to remember how I perceived it.
Yeah.
But it was very different, than definitely very different from the Sasquatch one, in the sense that I didn't feel nearly as connected to this one.
And maybe there's a reason why. He's got tentacles.
Yeah.
It's a whole different thing, right?
Well, they say that anything you would turn your eyes away from, like if you have an aversion to blood and you just like, oh, I can't look at blood, you'll turn your mind away from it in a remote viewing session. So if it was something that I would find kind of repulsive, every time I tried to look at the being itself, I felt repulsed. I just kind of felt like, I can't look at this.
Wow. But you also got
it was
very
gooey.
Spiritual, though, right?
Yeah. When I looked at their makeup emotionally and spiritually, that was not hard at all. It was the physical part that I found repulsive.
I can see why if those things are going, whoa.
Yeah, if they swing around and use their tentacles, it's like, I don't want to be there when a tentacle whacks me in the face.
And you know what? That's interesting, too, because in all the, alien movies or any type of movie where there's this, alien creature in it, whenever you see anything like suction cups and arms like that, to me, I'd be like, oh, come on, they won't be like that. Maybe so. Maybe somebody already knew this. Well, hey, I want to thank you, Lori, for putting your time in this and talking about it again tonight as well. Telling everybody, showing your session, and then revealing it tonight. I
told Connie it's like going on stage naked.
And I was like, woohoo! Let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's do it tonight. Life's too short. Go for it. But I want to thank you. I want to also thank your husband, Jim, for monitoring, and even Lynn for throwing in some things in there, too. I hope that Lynn gets a chance to watch this, too.
So is this available to watch on your, afterwards? It's like it's always there?
It's going to be $100 every time you watch it.
No,
absolutely. Yes, absolutely. As soon as we're off, it takes a little time for YouTube to put it back up there, and I'll throw it out for everybody. But you knew that. You're a blue rocker. You watch all these videos along the way. Yeah.
I just want to reiterate for new people that you can go on and you can watch it later. I am a blue rocker.
She is a blue rocker. She knows what she's doing. So I do think it's going to sink in, and we're going to learn more about it, and I'll let you know when, actually, I'll be back on Coast to Coast August 11th. On that day, on that night, that's when I'll be talking to William Gazetke for the 4 full hours, and he'll know about this by that time, and I hope that you'll listen, Lori. Otherwise, you can listen to it later, but I hope everybody else out there will listen. So right there, Blue Rockers, that's the picture of what Robbert Van Den Broeke had found, and that's what Lori viewed. That's Baffler number 4, and very interesting insight of not knowing anything about it. And what did she do? She went right into an interdimensional character or creature, murky, gooey, weird, light, illuminated light, and a lot of that matches with the story of Robbert, and I will put that in a link down below. So, Lori, before you head out, is there anything else you want to say? And I
just want to thank you for having me on Blue Rock Talk. I really appreciate it. I am amazed with how much it's growing. For Connie, it seems frustrating that it's not growing fast enough, but it seemed like it was yesterday she was trying to get 1,000 people, and now she's got 12,000. So it's growing pretty fast, and I think before she knows it, it'll be up into the hundreds of thousands, because people really are interested in this sort of thing. So, and not just what we talked about tonight, but all the interesting things you have on your show. And thanks a lot, Connie. You're a real pro. I really appreciate you. Reverend Dave, I hope I hear from you soon.
Yeah, let me see if there's something else out there.
Just for those who don't know, Reverend Davey and my husband grew up kind of together and are good friends. And if you guys want to write to me for any reason, anybody wants to communicate with me or ask me about classes or ask about sessions or anything, you can write to me at Lori@intuitivespecialist.com. That's what Lori at intuitivespecialist with an S at the end of specialist.com.
Once you start throwing out all your information, at one point you go, man, I should have never named it this. It's so hard, so long, and I've always got to spell it out, right? You've learned that one.
Shoot.
You're like, shoot, why didn't I just call it rock or something? You know?
Yeah.
Right? So, all right. So, everybody, thank you as well. So, hold on there for a second, Lori. Don't go away, all right? But thank you. Got to give your little blue rock. No, that's folk. There you and then listen. There you go. Yeah, she has no thumb. All right, so hold on there just for a second. So that was Lori Williams. I want to thank her once again. She's wonderful. She's incredible. And let me pull her back on for 1 second. Still, don't hang up, but let me pull you back on here. Hold on. Let me get her. Let's shift. Here we go. Blue Rock Baffler in the future, number 5. Within the month, at least. Every 30 days.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We'll have to see how life takes us.
That's good. I'm glad you answered like that. Now you guys know what I'm up against. All right. So again, that was Lori Williams. She's great. And you know what? It is what it is. If we can ever snag her, we will. All right. I promise you I'll be on her booty. But, when she can, she will. And look what she gives us when she does. So that's really wonderful for sure. All right. So I'll be back on Coast to Coast August 11th. Be right back here on Blue Rock Talk here. Let's see. Sunday we have Stan's Bible lecture. Ain't Your Daddy's Bible lecture. If you wanna go up against him on something, please do. He loves that. A great guy, also with the cryptocurrency, and he's also behind part of the Mars rover and all that neat rocket scientist stuff. So trust me, very interesting, very intelligent guy, and very fun to listen to as well. And then we'll be back, of course, with more Bigfoot Fridays and Crypto Connie Tuesdays, and Wasted Wednesdays is coming up, Far Out Thursdays, and a whole lot of who knows what in between. I got some neat Bigfoot stuff coming up for you. So anyway, it was fun. Blue Rock Bafflers, we did it. Those of you that were here, thank you. Tell all your friends. Subscribe. Tell them to subscribe. Hit that like button. And we'll be back again with more. So thank everybody for showing up. And we will. Let me hit a couple things here before we say goodbye. All right, here we go. Boom. Cut all that off. And now I'm going to say goodbye. Take care, everybody. Have a safe and happy rest of the day. We will talk to you soon. Bye-bye from Blue Rock Talk.